Before the wheel, I imagine we were all just, yalla, painstakingly dragging everything, probably ruining our backs, and wondering why square things were so uncooperative. But then, someone literally reinvented the circle, and the world truly started to spin.
Ah, Fire, the original Netflix and chill, except the chill part was actually freezing cold, and Netflix was just staring into the flames, wondering if that mammoth steak was finally done. Before Fire, dinner was raw, dark, and probably ended with a saber-toothed tiger interrupting your meal. Khalas, no more of that. Fire gave us warmth, light, cooked food, transforming us from shivering snack fodder into sophisticated, or at least less noisy thinkers. It was truly lit, literally.
Next up, tools, specifically pointy rocks. Before these bad boys, we were basically just angry monkeys with ambition. With a sharpened flint, suddenly that stubborn nut cracked, that tough hide stripped, and that rival tribe suddenly looked a bit less intimidating. This wasn't just about survival. It was the first philosophical statement. We are not just part of nature. We can shape it. Or maybe it was just, ouch, my hand, this rock is sharp, yani.
And then, language. Imagine a world where you couldn't even explain why you needed that pointy rock. Grants and gestures only go so far when discussing existential dread or the best way to hunt a woolly rhino. Language allowed us to share ideas, gossip about neighbors, and plan intricate ambushes. It's how we went from thinking hungry to perhaps if we lure the beast into the gorge, we can then collectively push large boulders down upon it. Revolutionary, Habibi. Agriculture, or as I call it, Operation Never Move Again. Why chase your dinner when you can grow it right outside your mud hut? This invention gave us towns, villages, and eventually cities. It also gave us backaches, famines, and the realization that staring at dirt for months waiting for food is frankly boring. But yalla, no more nomadic guesswork. We committed to allocation, for better or worse, and swapped hunter-gatherer freedom for predictable, albeit monotonous sustenance.
The wheel, such a simple shape, yet so profound. Before the wheel, everything was a drag, literally. Moving heavy objects was an Olympic sport nobody signed up for. Then, some genius, probably after watching a rock roll downhill for the 1000th time, thought, Eureka, or rather, it goes round. Suddenly, carts, pottery, and even early gears appeared. It taught us a fundamental truth. If it's round, it's probably more efficient. Unless it's your stomach after a big meal, yani.
Writing, from pictograms to cuneiform, this was how we finally stopped relying on Uncle Barry's notoriously inaccurate oral histories. Remember that time the river flooded? Was that the year we had 2 moons or 3? With writing, laws could be set, stories preserved, and tax records meticulously documented. The real reason writing was invented, let's be honest. It transcended individual memory, creating a collective consciousness, proving that history is written by the victors and the scribes.
And then, paper. Before this, you wrote on papyrus, parchment, or if you were really desperate, the back of a particularly large animal. Paper made knowledge lighter, cheaper, and frankly, less prone to being eaten by goats. It democratized information, even if it was just copies of royal decrees or epic poems. Of course, it also made bureaucracy explode. Suddenly, everyone had more forms to fill out. Yalla, progress, right?
The compass. Before this little magnetic marvel, navigating the open sea was less about skill and more about hopeful guesswork and praying to every deity known to man. Is that north or just a really convincing cloud formation? The compass pointed the way, literally, allowing for global exploration, trade routes, and eventually colonialism, which yani wasn't ideal. But the ability to know your direction without consulting the stars or a really good hunch? Priceless.
Gunpowder. invented by accident, probably by some alchemist trying to make an elixir of immortality, and instead creating the recipe for extreme existential dread. Suddenly, warfare wasn't just about who had the biggest stick, but who had the biggest bang. It leveled battlefields, changed tactics forever, and Habibi, it made fireworks possible. So thanks, accidental alchemist, for both destruction and dazzling pyrotechnics, a true duality of man.
The printing press, Gutenberg's brilliant idea, essentially said, why write one copy when you can print 1,000? This wasn't just about Bibles, it was about disseminating knowledge, challenging authority, and spreading revolutionary ideas faster than a viral cat video. Suddenly, literacy wasn't just for monks and nobles. The world was awash in books, pamphlets, and inevitably, political propaganda. The information age officially began here. No ifs or buts.
The telescope. Suddenly, the heavens weren't just pretty dots. They were other worlds, distant galaxies, and the cosmic reminder of our utter insignificance. Galileo looked up and saw Jupiter's moons, shattering the geocentric model and making everyone feel a little less special. It taught us that our perceived center of the universe was, just a cozy corner. A humbling yet exhilarating philosophical smack in the face.
While Galileo looked out, others looked in. The microscope. From tiny animalcules to intricate cell structures, it revealed a hidden universe within everything. Suddenly, sickness wasn't just bad humors or divine punishment. It was often tiny invaders having a party in your bloodstream. This invention revolutionized medicine, biology, and probably made everyone a little more paranoid about cleanliness. We learned that even the smallest things can have the biggest impact. Khalas, mind-blowing.
The steam engine. This wasn't just about boiling water. It was about harnessing raw power to drive factories, locomotives, and ships. It kick-started the Industrial Revolution, turning quaint villages into bustling, smoky cities. Suddenly, goods could be mass-produced, people could travel further, and everything moved faster. The air got thicker with soot, but progress, has its costs. It truly changed the pace of human existence.
Vaccination. Edward Jenner's radical idea of injecting a mild disease to prevent a deadly one was initially met with skepticism and probably a lot of, "Are you mad, sir?" But it worked. Smallpox, a terrifying scourge for millennia, was eventually eradicated. This wasn't just a medical breakthrough, it was a philosophical declaration. Humanity could actively fight and conquer diseases, rather than just passively succumb. A true triumph of science, Habibi.
Electricity, from Volta's battery to Faraday's generator, then Edison's light bulb and Tesla's AC current. We went from living by the sun's schedule to an all-night party. This wasn't just about light. It powered industry, revolutionized communication, and laid the groundwork for almost every modern convenience. It literally illuminated our world, both physically and metaphorically. The dark ages were truly over, khalas. Photography. Suddenly, the fleeting present could be frozen in time, preserving faces, places, and events with astonishing accuracy. No more relying on biased painters or dodgy memory. It allowed us to see history, to connect with ancestors, and to document moments as they truly were. Of course, it also led to countless awkward family photos, but that's a small price to pay for visual immortality.
The telegraph. Imagine sending a message across continents in minutes, not months. Before this, news traveled at the speed of a galloping horse or a slow boat. Now, empires could coordinate, businesses could transact globally, and families could share updates if they learned Morse code. It shrunk the world, proving that distance was no match for human ingenuity, a true precursor to our hyper-connected age, Habibi.
The telephone! From mere clicks and beeps to actual human voices echoing across wires. This invention brought intimacy to distance, allowing people to connect emotionally without seeing each other. It democratized long-distance communication. Of course, it also led to telemarketing,
endless hold music, and the existential dread of answering an unknown number. But yalla, the ability to hear a loved one's voice, even from afar, was truly magical.
An automobile. Before this, your world was defined by how far your legs or your horse's legs could take you. Then came the horseless carriage, and suddenly freedom of movement. Road trips, suburban sprawl, and the delightful sound of traffic jams were born. It reshaped cities, societies, and our very concept of personal liberty. But Yani, have you tried parking in a major city lately? Maybe the horse wasn't so bad after all.
The airplane. For millennia, humanity dreamt of flight. Birds mocked us with their effortless soaring. Then, the Wright brothers, with their contraptions of wood and canvas, proved it wasn't just a dream. Suddenly, oceans were no longer insurmountable barriers. The world shrunk further, making global travel and cultural exchange possible. It redefined warfare, commerce, and our very perspective of Earth from above. Truly an invention that took us higher, Habibi.
Radio, invisible waves carrying voices, music, and news directly into your living room. Before TV, this was the ultimate family gathering, tuning in for serialized dramas or presidential speeches. It created a collective experience, binding communities and nations together through shared soundscapes. It also gave birth to theater of the mind, where your imagination filled in the visuals. Khalas, no picture needed, just pure auditory magic.
Penicillin, Alexander Fleming's accidental discovery of a mold that killed bacteria. This wasn't just a drug, it was a revolution against infectious diseases that had plagued humanity since the dawn of time. From routine infections to wartime injuries, it saved countless lives, making previously deadly ailments treatable. It truly shifted the balance of power from disease to medicine. A genuine miracle, Yani, that redefined our lifespan. Television, the talking picture box. Suddenly, news, entertainment, and propaganda were beamed directly into our homes, replacing the radio as the centerpiece of family life. It fostered a shared visual culture, allowing us to witness global events in real time. Of course, it also gave us reality TV, endless commercials, and the argument over who controls the remote. But yalla, seeing is believing, or at least seeing is distracting.
The transistor, this tiny electronic switch, invented at Bell Labs, is the unsung hero of the digital age. Before it, computers were massive vacuum tube-powered monsters the size of rooms. Transistors allowed for miniaturization, making electronics smaller, faster, and more efficient. Without them, your smartphone would be, the size of a small car. It made the digital revolution possible, literally fitting power into your pocket.
The computer, from calculating artillery trajectories to running complex simulations, these thinking machines began to automate tasks once performed by armies of human clerks. They process information at speeds unimaginable just decades before. Initially gargantuan and specialized, they would shrink and proliferate, transforming every industry, every office, every home. They taught us that logic and speed could unlock boundless potential. Khalas, the spreadsheet changed everything.
The internet. Suddenly, information wasn't just printed or broadcast. It was accessible globally, instantly. This vast network of interconnected computers created the World Wide Web, democratizing knowledge and enabling unprecedented communication. We could connect with anyone, anywhere. Of course, it also gave us cat memes, misinformation, and the endless scroll. A double-edged sword of universal access and profound distraction.
The smartphone, combining the phone, computer, camera, and the entire internet into a device that fits in your pocket. It's an extension of ourselves, an always-on portal to everything. We became constantly connected, constantly informed, and, let's be honest, constantly interrupted. It promised convenience and delivered an existential crisis of digital addiction. But Habibi, could you live without it now? I think not.
Finally, artificial intelligence. From chess-playing computers to generative art, AI is learning, creating, and seemingly thinking. It promises to revolutionize everything from medicine to daily chores. It raises profound philosophical questions about consciousness, ethics, and the very definition of humanity. Are we creating our successors or simply smarter tools? Alas, the journey continues, and the future, my friends, is unwritten, unless an AI writes it for us.